The concept of emotional intimacy is something that is profound and limitless in its potential evolutions within any and all relationships and within any and all dynamics of social process and connectivity between human beings. And hopefully it will be achieved by this organization. If we want, and everybody wants emotional intimacy, whether they say it or not, whether they know it or not, whether they're willing to work towards it or not, or whether it's because they need it and want it so badly, they're very afraid of it. And thus it's not talked about enough, to be learned about enough, in order to be enacted in the world enough, in order for people to experience it enough, for it to become the new norm. And thus people are in pain, trying to reach each other, trying to connect, trying to be met, trying to be understood. And it seems like a constant, always on the way and not arriving process, with a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of painful experiences. Most people try to be as authentic as they feel they safely can. And that last bit is the kicker. Because if we don't feel safe being authentic, if we haven't had a practice environment, and this WSS is a practice environment in part for authentic emotional intimacy and conscious collaboration and true heartfelt and soul connection, and where we hope that everyone can feel met and understood. So in that dynamic, as we try to meet people with true authenticity, in great integrity, and just so we make mention of this, I personally perceive you, Sadie, to be an incredibly emotional, as many others in this group, incredibly emotionally authentic and real and substantive and integrous. So those are all compliments. And paradoxically, in this world of fear and distrust and skepticism and misunderstanding and misinformation and polarization and bias and judgments and victim perpetrator rescuer dynamics and safety and control strategies and taproot, emotional authenticity is difficult to hold within oneself. We can sovereignly remain emotionally authentic, soul authentic, consciously authentic. And the paradox is people can only meet us in the ways and at the levels that they are capable of meeting us from moment to moment to moment. And that's often a situation or topic or relationship specific meeting. Did we make sense with that last little bit there? That we may feel that in the closeness of our closest family relationships, or our monogamous relationships, or relationships with our children, we may feel on certain topics we can be very authentic, and then on other topics we can't be authentic at all. And this process, this is an evolving dynamic for everybody in the whole world, and for each of us as individuals. We can find solace with spirit. You can be totally authentic with spirit and open with spirit and in your guides, in meditative talks with them, and angels. They will talk with you. They'll tell you the truth, as much of the truth as you can handle, or I can handle, or anybody can handle. And they'll do so in incredibly sophisticated, caring, gentle, supportive ways. So there is solace that can be found in higher consciousness. Simultaneously, we want that in our relationships, our closest relationships, and understandably so. And if people have been conditioned in traditional ways, or if they have negative, heavy karmas that don't allow them to open in those connecting, authentic, emotional, real ways, then they either have blind spots, they have misunderstandings, they have projections, they have fears, they have, well, if you jump through this hoop and that hoop and the other hoop, then I'll meet you. And then while you're jumping through the hoops that they set up for you to jump through, they're adding more hoops. And they don't even know they're doing it. Oh, well, sure, you did okay here, but you really didn't meet my specifications or expectations in this way. Therefore, you failed me. I'm a victim, and I can't control you, or I now must control you into not being authentic because I can't handle your authenticity. You see that's a cycle or that gets repeated over and over again. Human beings have been taught to logicify, mindify, rationalize, or assume and imagine that they're rational and that there's some possibility of becoming rational someday, or that they're more rational or more conscious or more knowing or more understanding than other people. And that's why they don't meet other people don't meet them authentically. And did I make sense with how assumptions of one's own emotional capacities or spiritual capacities or consciousness capacities or authenticity can, in a way, in certain situations, create obscuration that doesn't allow us to see the authentic intentions of another accurately in the moment. If we go into a reactive mode, if someone is authentic with us and it's not what our ego wants to hear, we're saying, well, it can't be what my ego doesn't want to hear because I've already decided I'm conscious. I figured that out a long time ago. Therefore, whatever this person is saying to me can't be real. It can't be integrous. They can't be coming from love. They can't mean me well, because I am already conscious and I'm already authentic and I already know myself so totally well that I can't have obscurations or blind spots or areas of ignorance and that in itself is an ever more subtle ego self-defense and coping strategy to hold those assumptions about self. To deny the existence of ego self is to deny learning. It's to deny evolution, and thus paradoxically to deny attainment of consciousness. If we can't work through our own stuff continually, how can we transmute it into consciousness? How can we transcend its prior dynamics if we're not willing to admit and suss through whatever we have within our system that is as of yet not resolved? And there's no bad guy or bad girl in this movie or in this process. We actually have a slide for this today. There's nobody wrong in this process. There's nobody that's not trying. And that's the challenge, because when we arrive with authenticity, if we're not operating in rapport, authentic and in rapport, with the other person's emotional state, dynamics, or understandings, then we might shine too bright a light on their process. So patience, tolerance, patience with the world, patience with humanity, tolerance with the world, tolerance with the humanity, simultaneous to consistent in rapport, facilitation, support, caring, kindness, love, gentleness, empathy, and compassion. I know we're saying a bunch of stuff here. That said, I mean this in a loving, caring, positive way. If I were to say and communicate everything that I might perceive on certain topics, that might be too much for someone to receive in a healthy way. Even if it was meant in complete love, the chain shock to their system might be too much for them to take in a constructive way. So that's our challenge. That's why time is such a beautiful thing. We're in our 48th week here. We've been stretching this process out so that we can have this conversation today in this way, so that we can meet each other in this very connecting, loving, kind, compassionate, authentic, real, meaningful way, and have it be okay. Have it be constructive. Have it be supportive. Have it be recognizably a statement or a process or a conversation of care and love that is inclusive of all the dimensions of your being in all the time. Not just your social image, not just your persona, not just what you would like to show, not what you feel safe showing. the whole you, the complete you, however that is expressed. Making space for the whole person. That takes away the stumbling blocks to evolution of conscious collaboration and the stumbling blocks of conscious unity and the stumbling blocks that would normally get in the way of working together for common purpose, save the world, the climate change process, generate a new life process for humanity, and heal the wounds that humanity has. Then we can say, hopefully we'll offer you a harbor for safe reception, conversation, discussion, evolution, and healing, facilitation, conversation, so that when you meet those in your life who may not be there, they may not understand yet, they may not get you as you are, they may not be able to get you as you are, as you operate potentially out of phase with them and facilitate and lead them and help them to get to this mode of interaction, authentic, caring, loving connection, honest integrity, moment by moment, as you offer that to them and you meet up with all their resistances, their self-defense mechanisms, their safety and control strategies, their skepticism, their fear, their taproot, what's in it for me processes. You can meet all of that with equanimity. You can meet all of that with receptivity and taking snapshots empathetically, without judgment, without aversion, without attachment, and say, well, that's where they're at. It's not a problem that that's where they're at. It's just their process, in progress. And this is the challenge of it. There's a great metaphor. There was I read a long time ago, a monk was being chased by a tiger, and the monk came to a cliff. The tiger was either going to be eaten by the tiger or he's going to jump off the cliff. So he jumps off the cliff to a branch that he sees hanging from the side of the cliff. And as he's hanging from that branch, he can't hang on to it for long, and he knows it. He happens to see a strawberry bush growing out of the side of the cliff with a beautiful ripe strawberry on it. And in that instant, before he falls to his death, he plucks the strawberry, pops it into his mouth, and enjoys it as he then falls to his death. That capacity to find those moments of joy, those moments of possibility, those flashes of connection, of soul resonance, and to appreciate them, to focus on them with one pointed focus so that they are everything you see and the only thing you see and focus on, and that is recognizably of value, that is truth, that is authentic, that is a blessing, that is a miracle, that in spite of all of the stuff going on in this world, those moments happen. Those moments of connection happen. They happen every single day. We often get distracted from them by other peripheral dramas of the world, and still they happen. And still we are so blessed to experience them moment by moment, day by day. And they are sustenance to the soul. They are nurturing to the soul. They're evolutionary to the soul. They are faith-building moments, because when we can see it happened. I didn't imagine it happening. There was real connection, real love, real caring, real meaningful relationship. It doesn't matter whether it lasted 5 seconds or an hour or a day or a year. Doesn't matter. What matters is it happened. And if you can hold to that recognition, that truth, that it did happen, that love really happened, it was real, it was true, it was honest, it was integrous, it was authentic, it had meaning, and that it wasn't lost afterward. It didn't have an ending to it, because you can still focus on it. Love doesn't end. If we imagine that it ends, or if we choose to believe it ends, that's up to us. We have free will in that regard. Love doesn't end. If we focus on it, it goes on forever. It never goes away. And thus, inner peace never goes away. Tranquility never goes away. Equanimity never goes away. Faith never goes away. And recognition of spirit in our lives never goes away.